We're expecting about 30,000 people to vote in person this election cycle in Berkeley County. Poll worker training begins this afternoon. We have a new element of that poll worker training. That's the involvement of the health department. Dr. Reidy has prepared a 4-minute video that we'll be using in that training, talking about the safety of the polls and how to keep them healthy. They both have enough confidence in the health safety of going to vote in person, both early voting and at the polls. They both offer to be full day election poll workers. So in honor of that, we give you your election official hat for working the polls, and then for supporting staff in that effort.
I'm not putting mine on. I don't look at it.
It's a grueling day being working the polls. You show up at 5:30 in the morning, you work till about 8 o'clock at night. Bill has done it in the past. It's a great experience, but it's more complicated this time because of the health concerns we have, and we're taking all the precautions we can. I'd like at this time to turn it over to the health department if they had any comments they wanted to make, and then I'll come back and introduce Secretary Warner.
I've worked the election polls in Berkeley County since the early 1990s. It's always great to be there for the community so they can come out to vote. With the pandemic that we have, it's added a level of complexity to keeping people safe when they come to the health department, or come to the election polls, I'm sorry. And we put together ideas, both three of us as well as other officials that we have, to make things safe, to make it, when people come out to vote, that they have the sense of they're coming in, it will be a safe place to come to, that they don't have a chance of catching the virus from someone else that had already voted. So they can come with confidence, and that they'll be greeted well, they'll be taken care of, they'll be able to vote, and then they'll be able to head on their way, go home, know that they've done their civic duty, and to be able to know that they did not have a chance of hopefully contracting the pandemic COVID.
I'd encourage people to vote early if you can. It decreases the lines and potential for congestion and confusion on the day of the voting day. But even on the voting day, we'll be able to keep people safe distance, just like you're accustomed to in shopping and other places. We do ask that everyone wear a face covering, even if you don't believe they usually work. This is the day of elections, which is especially important, and honor that and try and allow everyone to feel safe voting. People are not to mill around afterwards or before they vote and move on, but it should be safe. There will be sanitizing of the workstations, and I think you can vote safely, but do follow all the proper precautions now so that you're well enough to vote.
So definitely, of course, if you're not feeling well, you definitely don't want to come to the polls. Same thing that you want to take into consideration anytime you go out and about. So if you're not feeling well, you don't want to take that chance of exposing someone unknowingly. And just realize that a lot of work behind the scenes has taken place in different meetings that we've had to ensure that things are safe for you to come out and do so. And it did take a lot of people, like I said, that are doing everything they can to ensure that you can come out and do this safely.
We like to think that we're really busy in elections, but these folks are really busy, and they have a lot going on. I truly appreciate their time being here today, but also they've given of their time and their expertise in several conversations and meetings over the past 6 or 8 weeks, and it's been very helpful to us, and it's altered how we're setting up polling places so that they're healthy. You can see there's a bunch of pencils on the table here. It's part of the supplies provided to us by the Secretary of State. Folks will be using these pencils as pointing devices when they vote on the machines, and then everybody gets to keep their pencil when they're done. The Secretary of State was kind enough to supply these. I think Secretary Warner went to every office supply store in West Virginia and bought as many pencils as they had. It takes about 45,000 pencils to conduct an election this way. Secretary Warner and his staff have also been enormously supportive in providing the PPE, the hand sanitizer, and the other support necessary. Thank you again for being here, and I'll turn it over to you, sir.
Well, it is a privilege to be here in Berkeley County and to see this wonderful activity that's going on all around us, make sure that this election comes off without a hitch. We did have perhaps the best primary in all the United States here in West Virginia, and I'm able to say that because there were 0 cases of COVID-19 reported due to the primary, and it was almost a flawless election. I was called on to testify in front of Congress about how we were able to hold such a successful primary, and I attribute that to offering people options to vote. With the governor's stay-at-home order during the primary and now safer-at-home order during the general, everybody in West Virginia is entitled to vote absentee if they so desire. And we've implemented electronic portals that allow people to automatically send their request for an absentee ballot into the county clerk's office, and then that data is transferred immediately into the SBRS. They are able to then put a label on that ballot and send it out the next day. So 99% of the people who have requested an absentee ballot throughout the state have already had their ballot sent to them. We've had over 130,000 requests for ballots. As I said, about 99% of those have been sent to the voters, and about 78,000 people have already voted here in the state of West Virginia. So the election is well underway. To maintain those options, the early voting you heard will start this coming Wednesday. It'll happen right here in this building, and then that goes for 10 days, from October 21st to October 31st, and then there's the election day, of course, November 3rd. And to allow people to vote in person, that's the importance of having, especially here, health officials. You hear the phrase, put your money where your mouth is. Well, here, people are physically putting their body where their masks are, okay, inside the polling precincts to assure folks that this is a safe election, it's a safe environment. You can see all the PPE that is in place to make sure people feel comfortable coming to the polls. And I want at this point to do a quick shout out to Anheuser-Busch, who has provided hand sanitizer throughout all the entire state. And this is even providing more PPE than we had during the primary. So if we had 0 cases during the primary, we're certainly hoping that people will follow the guidance to wear the masks, bring the masks, and wear them when you're in the polling location. Maintain the safe distance. There's going to be gloves, face masks, face shields. All of that's available for people to use to make sure that we have a safe general election, just like we had a safe primary. So again, appreciation to Darrell, Shull, the Berkeley County Clerk's Office, and the volunteers. This, as I said, cannot be done without the help of volunteers, such as our public health officials, again, here who are putting themselves physically in the position to assure the voters throughout Berkeley County, and I'm going to use this message throughout the state about how safe it is to come and vote in person. Voting in person is the most secure way of voting, because you see that ballot and you put it in the box, or you go up with a poll worker from both parties and put that ballot in the box. There's no question about whether it's going to be counted. Whereas with the absentee, we've heard about concerns with the mail, where 4% of the time those aren't delivered on time and so forth. So use the mail, the absentee ballot process if you need to because of a COVID concern, but if you don't have that COVID concern, please come vote in person. That's the most secure way of voting. And at that point, I will do the shout out to the 9,000 people, the volunteers it takes to run an election here in West Virginia, poll workers. We also have recruited 4,500 auxiliary poll workers, in addition to the 9,000 who are standing by, ready to step into the situation should a spike occur in some part of the state. These 4,500 are ready to step in, and I attribute a large part of that to the United Way throughout West Virginia, who is reaching out and using their organizations to encourage people to work at the polls. So with that, I really appreciate your all's personal involvement in this to send a message to the voters of West Virginia that the voting in person will be secure. Thanks to Darrell, thanks to this office. So with that, I think we'd all be ready to entertain any questions you might have.